What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Show back with another video. Now today we talking about Crisis Core. Yes, man, I had a really great December, because for one, I beat God of War Ragnarok. I just beat that. I beat Crisis Core, and I spent about like maybe 50 hours in both. Man, so I had a really good gaming session. I really haven't been gaming a lot lately due to actual work, and for me to be able to kind of just sit down and really kind of get into both of these games, it's been fantastic, man. I really, like I said, God of War, it came out a while ago, but I really haven't been able to get into it, simply because of outside interference. But I finally sat down and finished both games. Like I said, I ended it about 50 hours for both, I think. But today's video is about Crisis Core, so we'll talk about that with a Ragnarok video coming out soon. Now, when I first heard that it was remaking Crisis Core, I thought it was gonna be cool. Like, I thought it was gonna be like a little, what I'm saying, because for me, I told this in the other video, but for me, I really every time I would go and try to emulate games on a newer platform, whether it be like the Wii, emulators can fit on my anything these days. I would go back on my computer when I get an emulator or whatever, because the PSP emulator is like the best one ever. You know what I'm saying? I would always try to play Crisis Core again. I always get it because Crisis Core is probably one of the best looking PSP games ever, and I've always admired that about that that game. I never got to play it when I had my original PSP. I was still heavy into Final Fantasy then, but I guess I just did not know about the game, and I had like a little love-hate relationship with Final Fantasy 7. Maybe I'll talk about that in another video, but yeah, I didn't really like a lot of things that was Final Fantasy 7 back then. Obviously times have changed, so maybe that's why I didn't get it. But yeah, I generally tried to play Crisis Core on as many different systems as possible, whether it was PS3, Xbox Series S, computer, Switch. What I'm saying, I've always tried to play it over again, so I've always been interested because it just looks so good. So when they came out and they announced that they were going to be doing this, but they were going to be doing it in a more than a remaster, not a remake exactly, but more than a remaster, somewhere in the middle. I was kind of curious of what they were gonna do, and we'll get into spoilers a little bit later in the video. I'll let you guys know when we get into that if you haven't finished it. But I really was locked in, man. I ain't gonna lie, I really was locked in when they said it was coming out, and I didn't realize it was coming out to December. I didn't realize it was gonna be the last game of the year. That was gonna be kind of exciting for me. Like I said, I really want hype going into it because I really wanted to play it, but I've already seen all the story cutscenes and everything else, because eventually when you want to know more of the story, you kind of watch and stuff like that. But I watched that a long time ago, so for me, I really was a little bit fuzzy on a lot of the details. When you actually play the game, looking at the story like all the way through seems just confusing. When you actually play the game, it all makes sense, at least in terms of just Final Fantasy. So with that being said, guys, let's be honest, I thought this was an amazing game. Definitely felt the PSP age in it. Some of the dialogue was crazy. What I'm saying? I definitely felt like that PSP type of dialogue, type of it's definitely still that type of game. This is not a review or anything, just saying it is very much that type of game, and I was actually cool with it. What I'm saying? Just it regained some of its original charm. But let's talk about the game as a whole. When I first started playing, I heard the game was actually pretty short for like a Final Fantasy adventure, but I mean, obviously it's a side story in a way. I know that Zach is very much loved in the Final Fantasy community. Like, he's a big part of the Final Fantasy community, even though he had only this game. And if you play Final Fantasy Integrate and the Final Fantasy 7 remake, then it was basically hinting that Zach was alive. I knew that due to certain circumstances that he might be coming back, because after playing those two games. So I started playing a lot of the missions when I first started playing the game. Like, I got to like chapter 3, and then from now on I just got addicted to missions. Weirdly enough, it seems like that would be the thing that I would hate the most, because for me, I hate doing side content where you gotta go here, go do this. I'd rather you drop me in the area where I don't have to run around too much just to go find this, because my whole thing, I hop back on Final Fantasy 12 lately because of me beating this game. I really felt my love of Final Fantasy again, and I get into that a little bit later, but I really found out what I love about Final Fantasy again, and it made me want to jump back into 12 because I never beat it. I had to sell my PS4 so that my data ended up getting lost. Like, I think I was really deep into the game, so I ended up getting it on Switch again. I never really took the chance to kind of go and play it again to get to the part I was at to finish it. I finished 10 and everything once they remastered it, but I haven't finished 12. The thing about 12, and in a certain extent, the thing about 10 is that maybe I do like more linear Final Fantasy games. Like, I love 13 because I love being able to come back to a game and know where I'm at and be able to get to where I need to get to. Like, I feel like, if I'm being honest, I honestly feel like Final Fantasy 12 is a great game. But when I play it and I jump back into a random save that I don't remember what happened, I am so entirely lost on how to play, how to, you know what I'm saying? It's really hard just to jump back into. It's one of them games you got to straight shot it, you know what I'm saying? Or at least play it enough where you don't forget it. But it's definitely for me a game I can't really just jump into and remember exactly where I'm at. Like, I took a long time though just to figure out where I'm at in that. But man, I'm not really upset at any of that because it's a great game. And hopping back on Crisis Core, because I spent too much time talking about Final Fantasy 12. But hopping back on Crisis Core, I love the missions, man. Like I said, I love the way they just simplify everything. Hey, go in this little area, this repetitive area, and kill everything here, kill the boss in the end. And then some of the bosses at the end were crafty, like they had like shields and stuff. You had to figure out how to kill them and stuff. And eventually, I just got so hooked to doing the missions, even though they were repetitive, they had the same type of environments. I got so hooked to doing the missions, I just literally just grinded probably like 70% of the missions. I played so many missions, I think I was like chapter 4 or 3 or 4 of one of those chapters. It might have been 5 actually. One of those chapters, and I just did every mission that was available to me until I started playing the game. I eventually got to the part where you had to fight like the hardest boss in the game, whatever. I'm assuming she's the hardest boss in the whole entire game because the story was just easy after I leveled up everything. I actually got to her, and it made me realize why I love Final Fantasy, my true love for Final Fantasy. And I guess I'll get into that right now. When I was playing and I was getting my build together and I was getting all like the different accessories and stuff, it reminded me of why I love certain things about Final Fantasy, where you can get a ring that can negate this type of damage and stuff, but you still have to worry about this type of damage, but you can min-max this to get this, you know. So it's all about stats and numbers and stuff, and it really made me realize why I love JRPGs. You know, I love when you're able to block out one type of thing that would be annoying to you. You know what I'm saying? You got the summons and stuff, and that's cool. All the different types of magic, like, you know what I'm saying? Just in general, just the Final Fantasy aesthetic. And I haven't played 15 in so long. I platinumed that game, but I'm really such a big fan of the whole franchise as a whole. I like building little sets together to try to get max money, because in the game there are things that are really, really valuable items that require money, and you definitely need a lot of money to get those items. So I needed to create little farm methods for myself so I can farm in any aspect of the game. It was really cool, man. Missions unlocked a lot of that for me. Missions is probably the time I spent the most in any game mode, because the story was cool. The story was very cool, but missions made the game a lot more extended for me because I really wanted to 100% complete all the missions. And you know, at a certain point I was getting so strong, I was just one-shotting everything with a certain type of build that I put on my channel. But honestly, even past that, I just enjoyed the game. It looked great. Some of the environments and stuff was really shiny. For some reason, I was like a cat, and that really, really interested me. Like, I really, really did like that, how a lot of those environments and stuff looked. But even though it really looked good, the dialogue was a little bit iffy. The story is really where it was at for me. Let's get into that before we end the video. So, spoiler alert from here on. If you don't really know about spoilers of the story, do not watch. Alright, I'm assuming you're gone and you're not watching it anymore. I'm assuming that you had time to click off the video. So we will go ahead and get into spoilers right now. Alright, first of all, I gotta say, weirdly enough, like, I love Genesis, the villain, pun intended, because of the whole Loveless situation. I actually do. I am not that familiar with the original Final Fantasy VII, so maybe like Final Fantasy VII Remake is basically with my only knowledge of Final Fantasy VII. I watched the story of that too, but like I said, the story can get really muddled and stuff. So I don't know if you actually fight Genesis again. If you do, that'd be really interesting. I have a lot of things to say about in the spoiler review, which I thought I kind of had to calm down and kind of say it in a manner that's going to be straightforward. But let's talk about a lot of little things I liked in the story. I liked that you can find Vincent, man. I didn't realize that's who it was until because I never got to play Dirge. So I got to play it, but I never got to own it. So I never really understood what was going on in that game. But yeah, man, Dirge of Cerberus, you actually get to see Vincent. You don't see him, but you hear him. He's like in a coffin or whatever. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together because he's such a cool looking character. He's such a cool looking character. He's part of the Dirge of Cerberus game, which I played, I really liked, but I never owned. Then there was so many awesome moments in the story where, you know, you see really the teaching that Angel has on Zack. If this was a full mainline game, it'd probably be a lot better. But it'd be a lot more time to flesh out Zack and Angel's, you know, characters and stuff. And let's be honest, I did not understand when I first played. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy 7. I played a little bit of Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus. So, and I think I watched the Advent Children. I did not realize that, even though I watched the story, I didn't realize, or I forgot that Zack was actually, like, Cloud was actually living in Zack's image. I did not realize that he wasn't even really a soldier. Like, when you watch this game, you play this game, whatever, from a new fan's perspective, it's so weird because obviously you see the end and you see that Zack basically is like, you know, carry my dreams for me. I didn't realize that Cloud actually took that literally and became Zack. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's so crazy to me. Like, and it makes it puts a lot more context on the game for the remake, and you know, and it puts a lot of emphasis on the game in general, because people does not know that, even though they didn't change anything, which I was kind of sad, kind of glad in the same point. I got to experience the game as it was originally told, and you know, a lot of people was expecting the ending to be kind of changed. You might see Zack walking away and he's alive and stuff, but they really kept true to the ending, and they really just more than a remaster, but still technically a remaster. They made it so Zack died, and I got to see his death and stuff in HD, which was crazy. I definitely must say a beautiful ending to the game. Beautiful ending to the game. You know, by defeating all the people, saving Zack and stuff, and not saving Zack, saving Cloud, and Cloud becoming Zack was such a crazy little twist. And obviously it looks like Zack may be alive in a different timeline and stuff. I'm really interested to see his character, because now that they released this, even if they didn't change the ending, they changed a lot of people through Zack. You know, people who originally didn't really rock with the Final Fantasy 7. I ain't gonna say I didn't rock with it, but I have my own issues with it, you know what I'm saying, that was outside of the game. But people who really don't know the story of Zack and didn't know how Cloud is related to Zack, in a sense that he took his whole identity in a way. Like, I didn't understand the creepy connection to Sephiroth. You know what I'm saying? Why was Sephiroth like somehow a part of Cloud but not a part of Cloud? And then a lot of this game made the connections for me. Like, obviously he's part of Cloud because he has the same mutations or whatever that Sephiroth has, and Sephiroth is able to like make people clones out of them. It's like a whole different thing. You have to play the game to really see it. But I thought this was a fantastic game. I love this game to top to bottom. Top to bottom, I loved it. 50 hours into it, I really enjoyed it. I love doing all the side quests. And when I finally got to beat what's her name? Alina, something like that. Whatever, I finally got to beat the super boss on normal and on hard. I was so overjoyed because she's definitely a tough super boss. She's definitely a tough super boss. She's already hard, but obviously the game is outdated, and I fought like bosses that were harder than her, you know what I'm saying, through different games. So eventually you're gonna get there. As long as you get the stats in Final Fantasy, it becomes like way easier to deal with a lot of these bosses and stuff. They may have a lot of health, so you really have to test your endurance as long as like your actual skill. But love me some Final Fantasy, love me some Final Fantasy Crisis Core. This has been wrapped up for me. I'm done with it now. I don't think I'm gonna be going back to it unless I just get really bored one day. So with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next video.